If you've ever felt really angry, you were not at your best.
Right,
Your brain is actually chemically turned off. In those cases, when you feel this, that tapping, your heart's beating, you're raging, don't make any large financial decisions ever. And if someone tries to scare you, pressure you into you have to do this now, that is that first warning bell of if they're trying to do that to you, they don't want you to think.
Massive unemployment numbers.
The economy is basically grinded to a halt.
I put about $40,000.
Oh, why would your dad care, man?
That is his money, man. He gave me the money to go to freaking school.
He then wrote a suicide note. His body was found the next day.
2020 was an incredible year. It didn't just bring the coronavirus to our doorsteps. In many ways, it stole our sense of safety. According to Pew Research, among those who say their financial situation has gotten worse during the pandemic, 44% think that it will take more than 3 years to recover. And about 1 in 10 think that their finances will never recover. Today, we are speaking with Georgia Dow, a licensed psychotherapist who knows all too well about dealing with mental health issues cropping up from difficulties in one's life. If you'd like to speak with Georgia about your particular situation, especially due to the pandemic, links to her website and her YouTube channel will be included in the description. Now, let's talk to Georgia about the impact of the pandemic. Let's talk about the economy and what's happening with I don't know if you've heard of Wall Street Bets. So there's this crazy subreddit called Wall Street Bets, and these private investors went against the powers that be and became the biggest hedge fund on the planet, a decentralized one at that. And they pushed up AMC, pushed up GME and BlackBerry and so many other stocks just by buying incessantly, just going after them. And it caused all sorts of issues at the Robinhood level, at their parent company Citadel. So as I was following this whole saga, at first there was this euphoria, right? It was entertaining to watch. And people made, there's people that made from 50,000 went to 40 million. And so what we started seeing over as it went on, the powers that be figured things out. They borrowed money and started to, sell short again. It caused a lot of people to lose a lot of money. And when I say a lot of money, I'm talking about $1 million to $10 million a day. So imagine if your account went up so much and you just lost like someone's lifetime's worth of and more of a net worth of somebody in a single day. And this person was saying still, hey, I'm still holding on. And then it went below that, and then it went down even further and down even further. And so finally we started seeing some posts where people were saying, I'm down here at this point and I'm just scared and kind of hopeless and I'm not sure what to do. And they felt disillusioned by it. One example is there was a student who put all their money into this, and they had money to pay off their student loans, but it was fully just gone. Almost all gone. And so they're just, they were posting about it. They're posting on TikTok about it, and they were crying and things like that, right? So a lot of trauma. So there are people that surely won out, but I think a large section of the people actually made just a little bit of money, or they ended up losing a lot of money. Are there people that come to you for help for that, and how would you guide somebody through this where they've lost a ton of money and they were just in a situation where it was just too unrealistic? How do you even come back from that just mentally?
It's a hard thing whenever you've gone through, and this is a trauma experience, right? One is that feeling of being a part of something that is greater and bigger than you is so powerful.
Yeah.
Right? It's so exciting. It's so powerful. You want to be part of the tribe to do something that is bigger and greater than yourself. And I think that was one of the zeitgeists of what was happening, is that, to be able to take down the man and be able to create an entity of yourself that can move mountains is a wonderful feeling. And so I think a lot of people went into it with money they didn't have to lose.
Right.
And that becomes that dangerous piece of when you want to be so much a part of something and be a big movement to that you may be giving in more than you should, more than you can, because you want to be a piece of the action and to make a mark upon things. And so what we do is we just start off from where we are. We take a look at everything that is there, but also the reasons for why did we go in to anything that you do go into further than you should. Like there's a certain set of personality pieces of, a lot of people would go in and they went in with what they were willing to lose because they understand the game, and the game is sometimes you win and sometimes you lose, and they feel comfortable with that. Right. And a lot of people believed the hype of we can move this mountain, and other people, let's say, they may know that this is the way that the game gets played, and sometimes you win and sometimes you lose, and this is, you're going up against very large entities that do not want this to happen, and they'll do everything to gain back control.
Right.
And so it becomes this very disheartening learned helplessness that happens over you. And so we start over with why did it happen? What did it happen? And what are the feelings? Because as long as you can eat, money is a tool to be able to get you the things that you need, as long as you can eat. If you cannot eat, make sure that you do everything to make sure that you have food on the table and you're safe. But for people that you can still eat, we can rebuild. Yeah. We can rebuild and learn from this and learn to do things so this doesn't happen again. And so for everyone, they probably have different reasons for that. For some, it might have been being a part of this movement. For other people, it may have been experiment. Other people could have found that they're really good at this and they understand when to pull out very quickly and when to keep their money in. Yeah. And it becomes this difficulty of, for everyone, when things don't go the way that they're planned, there's a lot of hurt feelings and a lot of anger and resentment that can come out because of that. And Absolutely. So we kind of deal with all of the pieces, but for everyone, the pieces are going to be different. Two people can have the exact same thing happen. And one person feels like, it was a good learning lesson, and someone else can be very deeply hurt and angry and frustrated.
Yeah. In my investing past, right, I've been investing for about 15 years or so. The initial portions of that experience was all about me just trying to learn on my own. There was no YouTube really, and I couldn't just dial up what's the best way to invest, right? Today there's so much information, and I almost feel envy that I'm not younger and that I can just start today. Right. And so there was a lot of experimentation. So I read books, but then even the books that I bought some of them were from like crooks. Literally, they were just teaching like penny stocks and things like weird stuff that you shouldn't have been involved in. And so initially in my investing career, I saw a lot of, there's a lot of gains, a lot of losses. And then there was like this giant loss in like the 2014 time frame, which sort of it ended up sort of negating whatever I did in the past like eight plus years, right? And so and so I had a moment at that point to sort of come to grips with what had happened, and I had to go relearn and completely change the way I was doing things, meaning not be so focused on short term, not be focused on borrowing money to invest, not be focused on trying to just chase the market, chase stocks and things like that, and just go longer term. And I kid you not, my mindset, the way I feel, the way I sleep at night, and the health of my portfolios and everything is so much better. And so I just realizing this in 2020, I started this channel, Crush the Wealth Gap, and it was all about this, this situation where I kept seeing people come into this whole finance space and say, hey, let's just try to hit it big. Let's just find the next Tesla, the next Bitcoin. It's not always about that. It's all about what are you comfortable doing, and what is enough for you, right? So in this finance space specifically, there's a lot going on right now where just the younger generation is just being indoctrinated into this way of thinking, which is like super short term. Hey, put your money into Dogecoin and boom, it'll go up 17,000% and you can sell it and live like a millionaire. And sure, there will be the one or two people who win out and they'll stick out as the examples, but there'll be so many people who don't win. I just worry about those. And when you lose big in the finance space, how would they go back in their, let's say if they're 18, 19, 20, 25, how would they go back and work at something that's like a minimum wage job or slightly above minimum wage, or just a normal career where they're making American average salary? It's just the dichotomy there of like being able to go super high and win super a large amounts and then just be working for a little bit. I just don't know how they bridge that gap, and there's certainly so much for someone like you to do in that space. I don't know if you have any thoughts about that and the future of that.
Yeah, I think that we sell this dream, and we because of social media, because of the internet, we hear these stories, these amazing, wonderful stories of people that have had huge success from very little and there's a lot of people that are put as Elon Musk, of like, he went through horrible, like, it was not all happy and gravy for
Right.
him. He went through all kinds of hardship, but we only hear about the wonderful, great stories and not about all of the others. And our brain is made to hold out on those stories of it can be me as well. We're unfortunately exceptionally adept at lying to ourselves, being inaccurate, right? And we can do that so effectively and truly believe the lie, which is good in some cases, in that you can start a business, take risks, and bad in others because sometimes you are not either as knowledgeable, you don't know something, or you're wearing rose-colored glasses, and because of that, it can hit you really hard. And social media feeds upon it. These 5 things to get rich quick. These are everyone's selling that they know everything about it. And it's so much more complex, and there's so many other pieces, but people want and it's human nature to want fast, easy, and now.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not going to say that I'm any different. I like fast, easy, now. That sounds good. That sounds great to me.
Right.
But unfortunately, when we talk about resilience and, knowledge and working hard and understanding things and making mistakes and resiliently getting back up after you've made your mistakes and having enough pieces to be able to get back up so you can go back into it with a new learning, that's the way that the life usually is.
Yeah.
And so we end up with a media that is click-based and wants to keep you by either scaring you or selling you a dream. So it's either way, it's selling you either cortisol and adrenaline, or it's selling you dopamine.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, our greatest drug dealers now are social media platforms. It is no longer the person on the corner street that you really have to worry about. It's where are you getting most of your dopamine? And I'll say it, how far away is your phone from you or your computer from you right now?
Oh my God.
Right? Right?
Like, not
Within
even
arm's reach, probably, right?
Less than arm's length.
Yeah, exactly.
There's 2 phones. I'm sorry.
Well, there we go. There we go. And it's funny because I'm part of this. I do technology talks all the time in conferences and other things with that. And I won't go home. Like, if I'm missing my license, I might go home for my license. But I'll definitely go home for my phone. I might go home for my license.
Absolutely.
I will definitely go home if I do not have my phone with me.
Absolutely.
Even if I don't have my keys to my office, my secretary will probably let me in and I'll be okay and I'll manage. It wouldn't be a great feeling. But without my phone, my connection to that world, right? And what is it selling you, right? We're often angry and wanting to rage and grab our pitchforks. And if not, we're trying to chase the dream of what we should be and not feeling like we're good enough. And so because of that, we have to spin. But when we are either angry enough or scared enough, our brain gets flooded and it actually turns off our working memory. And so a lot of times when we're really upset, we're not at our best. So our thinking part of our brain gets chemically numbed.
Okay.
So when you're angry enough or anxious enough, you're not all there.
Gotcha.
And if you've ever felt really angry, you were not at your best. Like, I wouldn't want anyone to have videotaped me when I'm as angry as I can
I know what
be.
you mean. You're talking about this loss of control that you feel when
Yes.
you're so right.
Your brain is actually chemically turned off.
Really?
And so if you then, I always have the rule of don't do anything. In those cases, when you feel this, that tapping, your heart's beating, you're raging, don't text, don't talk, don't call, and don't make any large financial decisions ever. And if someone tries to scare you, pressure you into you have to do this now, that is that first warning bell of if they're trying to do that to you, they don't want you to think. And if they don't want you to think, that's because they're trying to pull the wool over your eyes. And always pause before you go in.
Wow, this is going to be a TikTok short. Just want to say that because that was freaking amazing. And I'm going to steal that whole line because
Sure.
you've just you've just taken the entire industry and just condensed it down to that sentence, which you just said, because that is what it's all about. And I've been in situations where I end up in, talking to people, and then I'm in their DM in Instagram, and it's like, hey, how you doing? Great. By the way, blah, blah, blah. And here's a course. And by the way, it's about to close because we're about to do this and that. And then the next one will be in September. I'm like, oh, okay. So I don't, I usually can detect that pretty well and say, okay, no thanks. But it's interesting how that works. That is definitely a sales tactic. This sort of,
yes.
Yeah, this limited quantity sort of thing,
Yes. Scarcity.
Scarcity,
False
yeah.
scarcity, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that little foot in the door, I like you. You'd be great for this, but there's only 3 spots. And we don't want to lose out, right? We have this fear of losing out, fear of missing out on information that this might be, because it used to be information is power, but it used to be information is our survival. You know where the water source is and other people don't? That could be your survival. So it hits us on a primal level. And so if we're really not in a good place, we're not able to be calm, we have to be rushed, we're already not feeling happy, there's a greater chance that we can fall into this. And so especially during times where there's like right now, the whole world is going through a crisis right now.
Yep.
Because of that, a lot of us are more predisposed to want any, it's like if you're drowning, you will take anything that's around you to get your head back above water.
Yeah.
Even if it's a crocodile, you won't care, which is actually true.
Yeah.
It won't matter.